Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a change to the advertised program. Welcome to the At Sleep at Work Network Fantasy Den, brought to you by, as I said, the Sleep at Work Network. I am your host for this week, Gary. I'm dropping in as an emergency host. Sam, your usual lovely face of Sam is not with us. He's got us other stuff going. But fortunately enough, luckily enough for everybody else, I am joined by Fantasy Den regulars. I've got Liam. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Thank you. Been
Good,
a
good,
good
good.
week.
I've got
Looking forward to another episode.
excellent, good. And without too much ado, hopefully I'm going to lean on your expertise on this because I'm flying blind as I'm usually am.
What's
Kiarn,
up?
how you doing, mate?
Yeah, same old, mate. Still recovering from what Liam did to me last Thursday, mate. That sounds a bit dodgy, that, but still recovering. But yeah,
Well, welcome to the podcast,
yeah,
everybody.
no, still with
It is
us.
the fantasy then, after all.
It is the fantasy. Now we're off and running. Excellent. And Jack, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Managing to survive the heat down south here. So, right. Fantasy Den, where are we? 10-2. Today, what we're talking about today, we're talking about round ones. We're going to do keep trade cuts. Everyone knows keep trade cuts, famous website. Everyone knows, everyone uses it when they're starting to do some trades within their leagues. Tends to be the go-to website for everyone who's sending trades, checking trades, rejecting trades, because most of the time you go and check your trades on that website and find that you're being somewhat shortchanged. Is that the nicest way of putting it?
You can always fiddle the numbers on that website to make it
You
work.
can quick change this, move that, turn that premium, turn the premium off, and whatever else. So yeah. So whose idea? Who came up with this one? Come on in.
I think it was. I think we just wanted to have a look and see what the opinion is at this early stage of the off. Well, still the off season, just to see how people are feeling. There's a lot of fantasy dynasty startup drafts going on right now. So I guess it's to get a bit of a feeler out there of what we think and see if we can help anybody with who's currently going through a draft and not quite sure who to pick.
Good shout. I mean, I know I've in a number of dynasties that have already done their drafts, which was so weird.
Yeah.
So it's like, what am I drafting here? I've got no idea who's going to still be on the team, who's still going to be here, there, and everywhere else. But hopefully this will give some pointers. Right, how are we going to kick this off then? We're going to do it by position.
Yeah, we'll do it by position. We'll have a couple of rounds. Each one of us will pick a position and three players in that, and we'll have a bit of a discussion.
Marvelous. Right, before we jump in here, I've got to do the official Asleep at Work Network stuff. If you are tuning in on YouTube, please do go down underneath. You'll see all the descriptions and the links to all of our socials. Please do come and join our free to join Discord server. Lots of banter, lots of talk, lots of back and forths in there. We'd love you guys to come along and do that. If you are listening on Spotify or anywhere else you find your podcast, or wherever you find your podcast, according to the NFL Network, you will find all of the links in the description of this episode. Right then, round one, where do we start? I'm going to go, Jack. Are you starting this one, or who's doing the QBs?
You do the QBs, Gary.
Oh, excellent. Lovely, lovely. Right.
There you go.
Nice. Well, yes, I see.
mate.
I've been properly stitched up on this one. Right. So the three QBs we've got on the board, or we've got in our little pot here. Brock Purdy, coming off an interesting sort of down year for the 49ers. However, from a QB perspective and from a points perspective, still a reasonably good year for Brock Purdy. We have Jordan Love in Green Bay, and we have Bryce Young at the Panthers.
It's a good trio to discuss.
It's got pluses and minuses. I think you can argue pluses and minuses for everything here. So I think
you can.
Everyone's got their points.
Yeah.
It's dog's just drinking some water behind me. Sorry about that, guys. So I mean, I think looking at the three of them, I think they're quite similar in what, especially what they've done in the last couple of years. My preference leads me towards Brock Purdy. I just think what he can do is better than the other two. So he would probably end up being my keep in this. I just think he's in a good offense, a good team, and I think they're going to be a bit better this year with Mike Evans joining them compared to what they've had in recent years.
Yeah. I mean, personally, obviously, with my slightly rose-tinted bias glasses on, obviously he's going to be my keep guy. And exactly for that, the 49ers offense has improved through free agency. They've, McCaffrey's still there, but they now have that red zone target that they've been screaming out for the last couple of years by picking up Mike Evans. Christian Kirk is also sneaky. Let's not forget he picked him up as well. That's that wide receiver room was such an Achilles heel for the Niners. Now it's actually not bad. Now you look at it and you go, actually, you've got some stuff there now.
Yeah. And I do think I think the other thing about Purdy over the other two is he's got a pretty safe floor compared to the other two. And he's got a huge ceiling, in my opinion, on that. I'll let you other guys have a bit of a chat about it.
I was literally just going to say the exact same thing just before you said that. I think with Purdy, it would definitely be my keeper out of these three as well. Like I said, just basically the floor he's got is so much better than Jordan Love's and Bryce Young's. And I think I don't know where I was in it, but with Brock Purdy, kind of every time he started 14 games onwards, the average is upwards of 17 points per game in fantasy. I know he does have his injury concerns, etc., etc. But if you look at it from an age point of view, especially for dynasty, he's not much older than Bryce Young, and he's in a similar age to Jordan Love anyway. So it's not like one of them's massively older than the other. I just think with Purdy, you get the better floor. He's arguably, not even arguably, he's on the best offense out of them three, and he's certainly the safest.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Jack, I thought you were just going to go randomly off script there
No,
and go different from everybody.
I would absolutely love to play devil's advocate and throw a spanner in the works and say something completely, but I really can't see Bryce Young. I mean, I think he will improve on last year because he's in that kind of, contract year where he's got to perform.
Yeah.
He's been in this system now for long enough to not have any excuses. But again, that floor ceiling, Young, I don't think the ceiling is that high. I mean, Love, I think you could compare Love and Purdy's ceiling.
Yeah.
But then Jordan Love, with the weapons that he has, you compare them to Purdy's weapons, you'll pick Purdy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, losing Romeo Dobbs, they're obviously trying to back Golden, and whether Christian Watson can stay on the field or not is another issue.
Got any hamstrings left?
Well, if he's got any left, yeah. But like you're saying about the 49ers, adding Mr. Third Down in there, Christian Kirk, a fully fit Pearsall, and then Mike Evans stretching the field with Kittle if he's back start the season or even he's back mid-season. I mean, having Christian McCaffrey there as well, it's you just can't argue with Purdy's ceiling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As Kiarn said, that's an interesting stat that an average of 17 points a game if he plays a 14 plus game season is that's money in the bank for most fantasy teams, isn't it?
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think you're right. From a ceiling perspective, I think sometimes Love and Young can have those games where they absolutely go off because Young will have those games because he's playing in the NFC South and therefore.
Whoa, NFC South bashing.
I was waiting for that. There are two other teams in the NFC South.
I wasn't going to bow. I wasn't going to bite, but then I remembered the background and the shirt with the jersey I've got on. I thought I better.
You got a better have to.
Yeah, I've got to speak up.
You got to say something. But against teams that they're playing against, there will be occasions where Young will score higher, and the same for Love. I think they'll come in some games will absolutely go. Everyone will be like, why did I play the other guy? But from a consistency point of view, when you're stretched and you're worried, and if Purdy can consistently get you 16, 17, 18 points every game, versus, as you say, the floor for those other two guys being 10, 12, maybe 8, and or worse if they come against the Saints defense and Young throws 3 interceptions and whatever else, then it's not going to be a good week.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. You put in Purdy and you don't worry about it, you don't think twice about it. You put in like Jordan Love, like he has shown what he can do. He was the QB5 in 2023, but since then he's been in a QB2. And I kind of feel like that's where he lives. And it's that thing where like he will have a good week. He's got the weapons. Like if Jaden Reed goes off on a game and gets 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, that Jordan Love's had a good one. But equally, we've seen enough with the Packers that they have lent heavily on run game. I mean, we'll discuss the news and pretty soon that's come out this week about Josh Jacobs, but don't think they're going to change too much from that. So I do think you'd be cursing yourself the odd week here and there by sticking with Love. And Bryce Young, even though he's got better over the last 12 months, and he's
still playing for it.
Yeah, he's still going to have weeks where he's going to get 8.6 points less, and he's going to really hurt you. So I think he would be my cut, and I would try and get some trade value for Jordan Love if I could.
Yeah, 100%.
I think people will bite on the trade value for Jordan Love, and I think that's why.
Yeah, I think you're more likely to get a trade partner dangling Love in the water than you would if you put Young, and everyone would be like, "You're just trying to offload him." You might get something lower, but for Love, you'd probably get something a bit decent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Young last year, I went for him in a few leagues, in dynasty leagues, in the off season, just because I could get him for a second round draft pick for a quarterback in a super flex league, which is crazy. And like to sit as my QB3, I'm quite content with giving up a future second for that kind of value. But Love, you'd want at least a first plus. So get the value for Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think on that Young thing, I think you're right. If you've got the depth and you can sit him as QB3 and play him as your QB2 on those favourable weeks for a cheap draft pick, it's a great thing to do. But in this situation, much like everyone else, as you've all said, you're definitely keeping Purdy.
Yeah.
You're looking to get something pretty decent to either help Purdy in your team by trading away Love, and you're unfortunately biting the bullet, going, it never quite worked out for Young. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
And again, that's probably not his fault. He's still a quality QB, but he plays on a team that is still in disarray 3-4 years after he was drafted. So,
yeah.
Well, no, I think everyone kind of, obviously maybe not you, Jack, but we all kind of secretly root for Bryce Young as well. Like, it's good to see him do well when he does do well. But like I said, just because you root for someone, it doesn't really translate to much fantasy value. And like you said, it's just his floor. I'd say his floor is it's significantly lower than Jordan Love's. Like, I think if you said Brock Purdy's floor's here, Bryce Young's, you couldn't be further down, to be honest with you. Like, in terms of like the absolute floor, if you think about the 32 starting quarterbacks in the league, he's probably in that bottom 5 to 6 range in terms of how bad his floor is. Obviously, you can have good weeks, like no doubt about that. It's just kind of, it's so
with the bad weeks, can easily outweigh the good ones, don't they?
Exactly.
I mean, with this, because they're not kind of the top 5 quarterbacks. I mean, look, if you're in a super flex league, you've got your 2 quarterbacks in. If you've got Brock Purdy in that second spot, you're sitting pretty, aren't you? You're thinking, I'm happy with that. But if you've got Jordan Love in there, you're thinking, well, I'm all right, But then if you've got Bryce Young in there, like you said, you're kind of thinking squeaky bum time if this doesn't. I mean, you say I don't root for him. I actually like Bryce Young. I wish that the Carolina Panthers were actually competitive. And
your division last year.
Well. I when I say competitive, I mean above 500
competitive.
to win the division. But like the Carolina Panthers only seem to show up in probably week 14 when when they face the New Orleans Saints. And they somehow beat us by 4 or 5 touchdowns, having not played very well. But Bryce Young is that Mr. Inconsistent, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like everyone said, and it's a shame really, because I kind of wish the Panthers would just sort themselves out, but it's easier said than done.
And they're not helping themselves as an organization by consistently changing the head coaches and whatever else they go through. So
I mean that's a completely. I mean, you can look at a lot of NFL owners and you can point to a Mr. Tepper, or you can point to business decisions elsewhere, but you could say that about a lot of organizations. They
interestingly enough, you can say that about a lot of organizations who often seem to be picking quite early in the draft.
And again, it's a completely different conversation, but it's a shame to see talent wasted and not developed properly.
I've got a better head coach now. I mean, is it Dave Canales? He's obviously he did the OC at the Bucks, and then and he's gone across. And the Panthers did look a better team last year, but there's still a long way to go. We talk fantasy football, so they can win games in the NFL, but you might not have, outside of Tet, you might not have too many of their players on your starting roster, and that's what it's kind of a different game we're talking about, isn't it? And you want to see high score, and you want to see action, and you want to see quarterback throwing 300 yards every week, and Bryce Young isn't that guy, unfortunately.
No. And that's where the kind of the fantasy to reality kind of seesaw is, isn't it? Is that you can get very good players for fantasy, but they're not great in the NFL. But if they can put up 16 points a week in fantasy, that's perfect.
Yeah. It goes to what you were saying, Kiarn. You can root for these guys and have that emotion, but it's important to have, especially when you're looking at your fantasy team and you're drafting and you're making trades, you've got to take that, I like this guy, he's my guy type of out of it and go, as Jack says, this guy will get me 15 points every week, even though he's just he's on an opposition team, he's on the rival team or whatever else. You've still just got to go, I got to have him in my team because he'll get me those points.
Shall we move on to the first tier of running backs?
Yeah, sure. I had the pleasure of picking the running backs. With it, I was saying just before this, I've tried to pick kind of not middle ground, but I've tried to pick kind of three, maybe low end running back, one high end running, like really high end running back two. So I'd say the three. I'll let you three kind of debate amongst yourselves what you think, and I'll tell you what I think after. But I've gone with Breece Hall, Cam Scatterbo, and Quinshon Judkins as my three. Just basically, I think kind of all three of them are similar. I know Breece Hall's been in the league a little bit longer, but similar to them both. Breece Hall suffered a really big injury when he was younger. Back in 2022, he tore his ACL. We just seen Cam Scatterbo come off a season-ending injury, and Quinshon Judkins coming off a season. Well, no, it was the last week of the season, well, towards the end of the season. So, but another kind of big injury that might impact his value. So I just wanted to kind of see where you three are at with these guys, and I'll tell you what I kind of think after.
Okay. Does anyone want to
Nominate
start?
Jack. Go on.
Is it
You see, we're all looking at each other going, who's going to go first?
I had the feeling I was going to be nominated there. Yeah, I mean, three good choices. I mean, when I read the list, it instantly got the cogs turning, and I kind of this is the fantasy football version of Snog, Marry, Avoid, isn't it? Remember when you were in school?
It really is.
I mean, when you're looking at those three players, I mean, like you said, you can go, well, Breece Hall, he's on the Jets. Are the Jets going to be the Jets? Cam Scatterbo, big injury. I mean, it didn't look nice. Does it impact a downhill runner who just doesn't stop, whose legs don't stop pumping and head doesn't look up, he just goes. And then Judkins, I mean, is on the Browns and the Browns going to Brown. I mean, I mulled this over and moved things about, so I'll jump right in. I actually went keep Judkins, mainly for the fact that the Cleveland Browns, just the way that the offense is, with the uncertainty at quarterback, whether it's going to be Watson or Sanders, we still don't know. But the Browns traditionally have always lent on that run game, especially red zone. I don't think there's, even though there are running back twos on the Browns, they're not really in the picture as much as they are with other teams. So I went keep Judkins just for that kind of consistency. He's a 3-down back. They're going to use him. And then I actually went trade Scatterbo. So the reason for this is because I think last year when he was being drafted, he's being drafted probably fourth round, maybe quite late. People, because of the running back situation in New York at the time, there was a couple hanging rounds. So I actually went trade Scatterbo because I actually think that even though he's coming off that injury, he's got more trade value than Breece Hall does, being on the Jets, even though Breece Hall signed a long-term deal with the Jets, and I think the Jets will jet. I've got Breece Hall in a few leagues that I inherited the team of, and I put Hall on the trade block, and I have received absolutely nothing.
Oh.
No interest. Obviously, there was talk of him kind of going to the Chiefs, things like that. But then the Chiefs obviously signed Walker. Hall is one of those running backs that I just think his career is just never going to reach its potential. And
Yeah.
that's not just in real life NFL, that is in fantasy as well, because every time I've had him in the starting lineup, he just disappoints. He might have that good week where
But inevitably, it's the week you've got him on the bench because
Yeah.
the 3 weeks before he scored you absolutely
yeah.
nothing.
So Breece Hall has become the kind of Kyle Pitts, the Kyle Pitts experiment for tight ends. It to me, it's slowly become the Breece Hall experiment because there's just no kind of commitment to the run game in New York. Obviously, the quarterbacks change. They've got a few receivers. They always look as if they're going to be better, but are they?
Yeah.
But with the reason that I went for Trey Scatterbo is because I think you can still get some value with him, and he will still hold. If you've got people in your league who are looking for a running back, people are gonna bite if they see Scatterbo, and people will go for a future second, maybe even a future first if you package Scatterbo with something else.
Mm.
People will bite on that because of the stats that he put up last year in fantasy. He just had some great games because he had the bell cow role. But then the coaching change in New York, where John Harbaugh, the amount of times Derrick Henry last year had 19 carries in the first half and then had nothing in the second half.
Yeah.
So people were talking about the Derrick Henry drop off last year in fantasy, and I genuinely think that Scatterbo this year will receive that because of the way that John Harbaugh coaches the game. Sorry. So I think he will go away from the run. I think he will start throwing the ball. So I think Scatterbo is a perfect kind of trade candidate to get in better value next year in the 2027 draft if you can get him, if you can get rid of him. But I also think there'll be a drop off because of that injury. So my without repeating myself, I think Judkins is keep, and then Scatterbo I'd trade and try and get some value out of him, and then I'd just cut Hall out of those three, put a spanner in the works and do something different.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Judkins would have been my keep out of those three, exactly for that reason, as you say, Jack. You don't know what QB situation is going to be at the Browns, but no matter what, the Browns are going to lean on that run game. They drafted him really highly. He's got the talent to be that sort of running back, the bell cow, the volume. So from that point of view, yes, I would be looking at keeping him. It's interesting you said I would have thought potentially I would have gone the other way in terms of trading Hall or attempted to, but I've not got him. I mean, I've not started, I've not touched water with him, but it's interesting that you have tried to see if you got any bites on Hall already in the trade, and you've not got anything. But that would have been my sort of trade, Breece Hall, just because I think everyone wants him to be well, so you might still get somebody trading for him because he's as you say, the Kyle Pitts. It will happen. It's going to happen for him. And then I think Scatterbo's just another concussion hit away from being out of the league pretty soon. So he would be the one that I would look to probably lose on a cut.
I think there's more interest in Breece Hall trade-wise when there was talk of him going to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And when
that was the time to kind of jump on it, wasn't it? If you could have got a trade in at that week when everyone was like, oh, I'm Breece, and the Chiefs looking at Breece Hall, everyone would be like, yeah, sell high then.
I've got a different order, yeah. I mean, I agree, cut Breece Hall. My notes consist of one line. He committed himself to the Jets, the end.
Yep.
I mean, he's a talented player. Fair. He will score. He will have a few good weeks here and there. But I don't want to be holding that player and playing him and getting one good week out of 4 from him. So as much as I think the talent's there, the situation isn't. And the Jets, they look like they've improved this offseason, but have they? Probably not. But I'll keep Cam Scatterbo. I'm all in on him. If you want to trade him to me for a second round draft pick, Jack, I'll have him. I'll take him. I'm all in on this guy. He will run through brick walls for you. He He'll do anything. He'll not stop churning those legs. The sky's the limit for him, and he can catch the ball out the backfield. So I just think when you're talking, when I'm looking at these three, I'm looking at ceilings, and I think Cam Scat can do a lot. I think his ceiling could be 30 points, 40 points in a week. Whereas Judkins, although he's probably more talented a player, I think at the Browns, I'm not sure their offense is going to be much better this year. I don't know if that, and that's obviously going to limit his opportunities. I kind of feel like when they do get a quarterback who is reasonable, and whoever that may be, whether that's a future rookie or whether Watson actually sorts himself out and actually performs to the level he can, I do think they're lining themselves up to maybe be a little bit pass heavy. I think in the passing game, although Judkins can play that role, I think that's why they've got Dylan Sampson in the same draft class as Judkins. So I kind of feel like Judkins becomes a run only with limited receiving work kind of back. Although I do rate him, I think you could probably arguably get more trade value from him out of the free. I'm higher on Cam, and I think like I could probably get a better return for trading Judkins as well. So that's like another reason why I would trade him over Cam Scat. But yeah, I'm all in on Scatterbo this year. I think he'll either be brilliant and he'll be like one of the absolute values of the draft, or he'll be concussed week 2, concussed week 6, and he'll break his leg again in week 10, and that'll be him done in the NFL. So I'm happy to die on that hill there.
It's funny, deal. I'm glad you. That's why I wanted to hear what you had to say first. I don't think you are going to agree with me at all, because the way I kind of look at it, just kind of aside, I think if you look at them 3 there, we can all agree the 2 more talented running backs are Breece Hall and Quinton Judkins. They are both more talented than Cam Scatterbo. The way I have it is, I agree. I think I'd keep Quinton Judkins, mainly just because he's the youngest of the both. Youngest of the 3, sorry. He's shown he can be a bell cow. I know his injury was scary because I think it was his hip and his ankle, wasn't it? Like 2 in 1 go when Matt Milano tackled him. But he's shown he can be a bell cow. I do kind of have the same concerns you might, Liam, in terms of the Browns, the way the set, well, especially with how they've drafted, they are looking to set up pass heavier. And like you said, they've got Sampson in there for that role. I'll try and trade Breece Hall. I think with Breece Hall, well, what it is, I'll talk about Cam first. My issue with Cam is his sample size was what, 5 games last year? That's such a tiny sample size. I mean, he's the exact same age as Breece Hall. I know he was only a rookie, and I think kind of similar to what Jack said, it's similar to Kyle Pitts. I think we kind of get a bit of fatigue with Breece Hall, hearing that, oh, is this the year with Breece Hall? Is this the year with Breece Hall? But he's still 24. He's been in the league since 2022, so it probably seems like he's a bit older than he is. But he's had a prove. I think it was the top 5 fantasy running back in 2023, was it?
There was one year where he was right up there.
Like, it was
that's
ridiculous.
the one.
I think he's got much more of. I know kind of his last couple of years he's been in between like the 15 and 20 range, which granted isn't brilliant, but I think his sample size is just better. Is kind of shown that I know like he can sorry, I know I keep on saying but like Liam just said there. With Scatterbo, it could be. I know it's the same with all running backs, but it could be a case of 3 weeks into next year he's had 16 concussions, broke both his legs, and he's done. Do you know what I mean? I just think with Breece Hall, it's certainly safer. And if there was like the old Cam Scatterbo was the same age as Quinton Judkins, where he was 21 or 22, I would have it the other way. I just think for the sake of how Scatterbo plays, like I said, it's full throttle. Doesn't even know where the brakes are. And we've seen what Breece Hall can do, and he is really talented. And not to buy into the Jets stuff, Liam knows I buy into the Jets and Garrett Wilson every year, especially. So I'll add Breece Hall to the list. But
anyone who's in the league with Kiarn, you can get Breece Hall. You dangle Breece Hall at him, you're probably overpaying.
The thing is, I think with someone like Cam Scatterbo, there's that kind of second season. It's like the hard second album, isn't it, for an artist? Yes. It was only a small sample size, but it's like someone who's released one pop song that's been number 1 for 16 weeks, and it's sold the album.
He's got to come up with a lot now.
Yeah, but also our team's going to get. Are they going to prepare for him better?
How do you prepare for a madman like Cam Scatterbo?
Well,
jersey off as he goes past.
You send a 6'4" plus 300-pound monster through the
hole with the gap.
Yeah.
Look,
the Giants' offensive line is.
You don't want him when we do our fantasy league. I'll take him. Don't you worry.
But also, you got to wonder. Going to the new segment of this, if you like, Scatterbo Giants. There's rumblings, obviously, after Jackson Dart and his recent political appearance, shall we say, how that's going to function in the workplace, and how the locker room might be. So that's another sort of thing to throw in the mix when you're looking at Scatterbo and coming into that scenario.
Tweeted earlier on, didn't he, about like the senior members on the Giants. I think it was Brian Barnes, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Jameis Winston kind of led like a meeting speaking about it, obviously. But yeah, very obviously
to be honest, that says it all. If Jameis Winston's one of your leaders, right? I love the guy. He came out of FSU. He was like the best QB come out of FSU in the last 50 years. But my God, if he's your sensible head in your locker room,
that might be an issue itself.
It's got to be a worry. Yeah.
There we go. So move on to the Jack. Do you want to run through the 3 wide receivers you've picked?
Yes. So I'll. So the 3 that I picked are Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, and George Pickens. So I'll let you chat about it, and then I'll jump in at the end. Yeah. So with this, the reason I picked those 3 is Waddle is 27, DJ Moore is 29, Pickens is 24. So the total over the last 4 years, kind of yards wise, Waddle 4,024, DJ Moore 3,900, and Pickens 4,270. So statistically, you're looking at, you've got your 3 age ranges, but statistically, you're looking at kind of players who are still producing, but they're also in very different situations.
Yeah,
so I'll leave it to
it's like, I mean, literally, you think about anything Waddle, you think, you'd get rid of Waddle, right? But then they moved it. He's moved on, hasn't he? So, if he was still at the Dolphins, it'd be like, Dolphins are in a fire sale right now. It's A-Chain and nothing else at the Dolphins. If you're in any fantasy dream, right, nobody's touching anything else there. Moore is an interesting one. He's always been, he's never really had that number one. Is he the guy? Is he? He's, as you said, interesting how he's 29 now. He's had a number of seasons but he's been consistent through those seasons, but he's never been the guy that you want in fantasy. But if he's your wide receiver 3, 4 in your deep leagues, you're pretty happy having DJ Moore, because you're going to get boom or bust. Even low on him is still reasonably sensible. Pickens scares me with everything that's going on with the franchise tag and everything that's going on at Dallas.
I'm not sure kind of how you look at it, but with the 3 names that I just kind of think George Pickens is such the obvious keep. Like, I don't think, you might disagree, I just think it is George Pickens. I think it's the best out of the 3. It's definitely got the most upside out of the 3. And I think it's a weird one because all 3 of them have had kind of top 10 fantasy finishes, say, in the last 4 or 5 years. But George Pickens was just wide receiver 4. I think, I mean, it's a difficult one with DJ Moore and Jalen Waddle, because Jalen Waddle's younger, and you'd argue Jalen Waddle is better, but he's also going to a team where there's not a clear. Well, he's the wide receiver 1, but he's not as clear as wide receiver 1 as DJ Moore will be in Buffalo now as well. And DJ Moore is worked with Joe Brady, the new Bills head coach, when Brady was the OC in Carolina. But for me, I think Pickens is the clear and obvious keep. He's ridiculous, honestly, and he's kind of obviously he does benefit from playing with Dak and CeeDee Lamb. But as long as that continues, I think he's the obvious keep out of the 3. But I think there is a real discussion to be had about DJ Moore and Jalen Waddle, who you'd rather have. Well, keep or trade, obviously. Cut or trade, sorry.
I'm with you on Pickens being my keep, but I do understand why he scares you, Gary, because he's obviously played under the franchise tag. He's made it very clear that he's not chuffed about that.
Yeah.
He wants to be paid, and he wants to have this long contract. And I think he wants to be the wide receiver 1 wherever he goes, in a challenging team, hopefully. And he's going to be fighting himself, because there was an argument towards the back end of last year. Had he switched off a little bit? Was he not as interested? Especially when the Cowboys were out of the playoff run.
Tension, yeah.
And obviously CeeDee Lamb missed time last year, which helped Pickens be the guy that he was. However, I do think he's the best of the 3, and I think he's comfortably the best of the three, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to pull up his big boy pants and get on with it. To be perfectly honest, he's got to prove himself to go and get the contract that he wants, and that may well be on the Dallas Cowboys. So he can't go and burn bridges there. I don't think it will be. But
just trying to work out how would they afford Dak, Pickens, and Lamb?
But obviously they've kept him there on the franchise tag for a reason. To maybe try and work something out longer term. Maybe it's just to get him for one more year, but I'm just saying not to rule that out, that there might be a way that he stays there, so he can't burn bridges there. So I don't think he will stay there. I think somebody else will want him, but he's got to prove it this year. So Pickens is my keep. And then between Waddle and Moore, I would be trading Waddle, even though I just don't buy into that it can be anything really in fantasy at the Broncos. I think there's too many mouths to feed.
That's my thing. I think he is better than DJ Moore. Just think, like you said, on the Broncos, you've got Sertan still there, you've got Troy Franklin's there.
Yeah,
I know Marvin Mims had a bit of a down year, but he's still there. You've got the running backs, obviously. You've got the just drafted
They drafted in the third round last year, I think it was, as well. Who was there who sort of started to become a little bit more useful in the second half of the season. And I think he goes there, and I don't think he's the actual type of player. You look at Pickens, and he can be a wide receiver one. He's a big physical guy, where Waddle isn't really that guy. He had the opportunity last year for Miami, and he sort of flitted in and out of being relevant and not relevant in fantasy. I'd be trading him, and in fact, I did in one league, one of my longest-serving leagues. I traded him for Jameson Williams straight up, which I think is a huge
I like that
for me.
I love J-Mo.
Yeah, so
that's a good trade for you, I think.
Yeah, I think so. You got age, but like you look at them, they could be similar players. But yeah, Waddle. Maybe I'm bitter because he's left the Finns and he's left me with nobody to watch now other than Achan.
There is always that,
yeah. Maybe I should just cut him, but no, I try and get a little bit of money or a little bit of something back in return for him and trade him, and then therefore by proxy, DJ Moore gets cut. Yeah. But I think it's a good move for him. It's resurrected his career in fantasy at least. But yeah, I probably would cut him.
Yeah,
fair enough. That's it's interesting because I mean, I bounced back and forth with this one quite a lot. I think DJ Moore for me was definitely the cut, even though statistically he had his best season with Joe Brady's in Carolina. Sorry, Joe Brady, yeah. And I thought, no, I've seen a few leagues. He's been actually quite expensive. People have been going after him, but I just the way the Bills play, so many mouths to feed. It's a spread of, and so I had DJ Moore cut. I actually decided to keep Waddle because I think even though he's not going to be top 5, I mean he's going to be somewhere in that kind of 6 to 16 range, I think maybe. I think he's going to be consistent with the Broncos. I think they will feed him as a wide receiver one, and I chose to trade Pickens because of the value, because of how good of a season he had. Because when it comes to someone like George Pickens, he's a ticking time bomb. As a player, locker room, he just can't.
Especially with that franchise tag grumbles. Yeah.
And like you said, as soon as you mentioned the franchise tag, I kind of knew that I'd hooked you into what my thinking was, is that Pickens, I just can't see. He did it in the Steelers. He got very unhappy very quickly, caused problems. He got himself out. He's gone to Dallas. How they've afforded everything is going to be interesting to see. But again, that trade value is there for Pickens. Yeah. I mean, I put him on the block and I got offered Justin Herbert and I think it was a 2028 third, which
is super player.
Yeah,
that's not bad value.
Which isn't bad value considering it was just a straight up. Do you see what I mean? It's so that's
the value is there. The people will buy it. People will offer more for the trade for Pickens than they would.
Yeah, and so that's why personally I would trade them, just because you're going to get the value.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in a league last year, and it was like I think at the time Pickens was the wide receiver 3 on the season. It was probably like around about week 8, 9. It was coming up to the trade deadline in the league, and I tried to shift him because I thought he was like, when will this end? And I tried to get someone like Devonta Smith. I don't know if it was straight up or something else, and I got turned down, which at the time, I'm sort of pleased it happened, but because
Yeah.
I was thinking it was coming to an end, and you'd have thought somebody would have bit my hand for George Pickens for Devonta Smith straight up.
Yeah.
Something else in there, like a future second or something, but not a lot. And I got that rejected. So I do think there's a little bit of worry around Pickens' name, but on the back of last season, you would like to think you'd get a reasonable amount for him.
Yeah.
I think it's also from this point of view, this is where you have to be clever about who your trade partners are as well and who you're looking at, right? Because you can find those who are maybe less up to speed with the Pickens history, and they'll just see Pickens was great last year, or you're offering me, what seems a good deal, well, grab it. Whereas some players will be like, that's Pickens. When is it going to end? When's the bomb going to go off?
It's how you package Pickens, though, isn't it? A player like package, like we were saying with Bryce Young previously. If you send me something and Bryce Young, I look at you and I go, well, you're just trying to dump
Dump your
You're
shit.
just trying to you're just offloading all on me somewhere.
But if you send me Pickens and a pick and I'm looking at it, I think, oh, that's actually really good value. Just see what I mean? It's how you package these players, isn't it?
Out of curiosity, what would you reckon would you need to add to Pickens to get CD Lamb? Same team, same offense.
It adds honestly at least 2 fouls, possibly 3.
And Pickens to get Lamb.
That's it.
So,
It depends. It depends because the reality is George Pickens probably isn't on the Cowboys next year, and how much of George Pickens' success last year was just a beneficiary of being in like a ridiculous pass-heavy offense. If I got offered 2 fast and Pickens for CD, I'd say yeah. But if I was selling CD, I'd be like, well, would you only think like a 1 fast and Pickens would be enough to get CD Lamb?
I don't know. I don't. It's like I don't have an answer. I mean, if I was on that, if somebody said to me, "I'll give you CD Lamb for Pickens and a first," I'd probably stick with Pickens, to be honest. Because even though CD Lamb's like a proven talent, like I don't know that I'm torn, and I think Pickens has shown last year what he's capable of doing. It's just up here, up in his head. Is he capable of putting out?
Do you not feel like George Pickens is like the most obvious Las Vegas Raider of all time?
Well, that's the worry, isn't it? Like
the worst possible place for him to go, by the way.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, Pickens and DK Metcalf. Yeah.
Who would pay him? Who's going to pay him the money?
Exactly. They have to be brave enough to pay him as well.
Unless he goes and puts 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns up, or something like that again.
If he goes off, if he goes properly off, then where does he go? Yeah, who splashes the cash?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so I'll move on to the tight ends now. That was very interesting. So let's see if this is just as interesting. So I've got 3 tight ends, and I've tried to stay out of the obvious top 2, and then I think 3 and 4 are pretty nailed on for this offseason. So I've gone for Tucker Kraft, Harold Fanning, and Kyle Pitts. There's the 3 tight ends to talk about.
Because you can't do anything with the tight ends unless Carl Pitts is in there.
Carl Pitts is involved.
Tight end number 2. That's why I've thrown him in there, to make you guys think twice. Good luck, guys.
That is a really tricky one. Similar to the wide receiver one. I think I don't get me wrong, I love Kyle Pitts, but I think Kyle Pitts is the obvious cut out of the 3. I'll be honest, with Tucker Kraft and Harold Fanning, it just depends on what your team situation is really. Because if you're a rebuilding team, obviously it's Harold Fanning, but Tucker Kraft's amazing. Like Tucker Kraft is really good. I'm leaning to keeping Tucker Kraft and trading Harold Fanning. I think coming off his rookie season, Harold Fanning's value isn't going to be any higher. Especially in this offseason as well. The Browns have brought in so much target competition, whereas the Packers have lost it. And obviously, even with the competition there in Green Bay last year, Tucker Kraft was Jordan Love's go-to target. You can see I know he's just coming off tearing his ACL as well, but there's a world where, especially with what's just gone on with Josh Jacobs, where Tucker Kraft's not only going to be leading the Packers in target, it's going to be the go-to guy in general.
Yeah, it's interesting. Coming out of college, I love Fanning coming out of college. It absolutely tore it up. And obviously then went to the Browns and surprised me by progressing as quickly as he did with the Browns and becoming, as good as he's become there. I think, like Kev said, I think now's the time to sell him. So get him on the trade block because, as you say, the Browns went out and went pretty offensive heavy. We've just already talked about Judkins. We've talked about who's going to be the QB. That's going to be massively important for Fanning sort of production and what he's going to get. So I think you'll get the best value you can get for him on the trade. The other two, yeah, I suppose you've got to look at it and go, Pitts just still hasn't ever done it. And can you give him one more year with yet another QB? That,
Of course you can.
Of course you can. Of course you can. Because if you've stuck with him so far, right, it's going to happen. And how many people are going to be so upset that the year that Kyle Pitts finally does either A, get traded from the Falcons to a team that uses a tight end properly, or actually has the season that he's supposed to have when everyone's finally given up on him. So yeah, I think he is the cut, and therefore, from my point of view, actually, do I
It's a
want to
tricky
keep
one, isn't it?
It is, because Kraft scares me after the injury. And he has some competition at times, or unless they follow the Rams and start playing two tight ends and go heavy on the tight end, then then maybe Kraft is your sensible. I suppose from that point of view, as we've talked about, he's going to score you regular points because there isn't much target, share going on there. There's not many other people that are going to do it in Green Bay. So from that point of view, you keep Kraft, you get as much as you can for Harold Fanning, and you finally cut the cord on Kyle Pitts and go, right, this is it. You've had your chance. You've got to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I can have another year of the Kyle Pitts
Roller coaster.
experiment. I mean, I don't really know what to say about Kyle Pitts, because when he's there, he's staring at you on the draft board, and you haven't, if you haven't picked a tight end.
He's a tough name to go past, isn't it? It's a tough.
He is, but then you see what the Falcons have done, obviously, the last few years with head coaches and offensive coordinators and things like that. And then you see the talent on that team. And then it's Kevin Stefanski, isn't it, who's come in.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how Njoku had these weeks where it was always when Njoku was playing me, of course, that Njoku would go off and you get 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Njoku had these kind of spats of consistency over 3 or 4 weeks where you thought, is this it? Is this going to be him finishing with 15 plus points every single week now? And then he wouldn't even catch the ball the next week. Kyle Pitts, I agree, he's got to be the one you cut. I can't do it anymore. I did it for 1 year, and he did the old bench thing to me. 3 weeks of nothing, put him on the bench, and then he got
bam.
And then I put him back in, and then that was it.
6 weeks of nothing.
Yeah. The other two, I'm not sure. Again, between the two, I mean, like you said, Kraft's injury. Green Bay this year, I mean, with what's happened with Josh Jacobs trading, losing Romeo Dobbs as well, and then Christian Watson's hamstring. It seems like that offense. I mean, I know it's a Matt LaFleur team, very well, very creative, but they seem to be dropping like flies. And consistency is the thing. Yes, he's one of the only options there, but is he going to be fully healthy? So I mean, I'd probably put Kraft in the trade bracket to try and get some value out of it, and I'd probably bite on Fanning the way that he performed in that, especially from a fantasy kind of point of view with what's happened in Cleveland. I know you've got Conception and Boston now, but I think that will actually do Fanning some good, because I think that it's now going to, I mean, I know Jerry Jeudy's there as well, but he's been quite irrelevant from a fantasy standpoint for a while. And I think that once they decide who they go with at quarterback, I think Conception will be the out and out
number one.
Just number one.
Yeah.
And I think I think Fanning might actually be the number 2 option. I think Boston's going to be a little bit more of a project. So I do agree on the Kyle Pitts thing. The Craft, yeah, the injury scares me. So I'd trade him, try and get some value whilst I can. Again, if you can package that up and make it look better than it is, you could probably get more than you want, especially if you've got a hole somewhere else. Or you could get a younger tight end or draft a tight end, but I would keep Fanning.
Very good. I've just got a question before I give you mine. Would you trade Fanning for Kraft straight up?
No.
Jack? Well, Jack,
wait, are you giving Fanning or receiving?
You've got Tucker Kraft. If you got Kraft, would you give Tucker Kraft straight up for Fanning, and would you accept the deal?
No. But yeah, again, it's team situation, ain't it? If I'm rebuilding, no, because then you're not even getting any picks or anything. I just think Tucker Craft's better. And like I know his sample size last year was small, but he was brilliant. And I think Fanning got better as the season went on, didn't it? But a lot of them games as well, where Fanning had his bigger weeks, it's where the Browns were already down by 700 points. So they're throwing the ball lots, it's getting lots of volume. I just don't think it's overly sustainable, especially with the new competition.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, if I've got Tucker Kraft, I think I've gone keep Kraft, trade Fanning because I think his draft value is higher than the other two. And I've cut Kyle Pitts. I thought one of you would get suckered into the fact that he was the tight end number 2 last year, but well played.
He'll be tight end one this year. I was going to say, I'm really interested to see this time next year where these three actually finish. Because if you said to me, "Oh, Kyle Pitts had a better year than both of them," you wouldn't be shocked, would you? Like, you wouldn't be like, "That's ridiculous to say."
No, it would be Kyle Pitts-esque for it to happen, quite frankly, and that's the problem, right?
And you would argue last year, like, if you're going on just on this is where end of season rankings sort of like throw you off a little bit, because Kyle Pitts, you never would have put him down as the tight end 2, but he had that huge week in the first playoff game, and then the second week of the playoffs he did pretty well as well. So he obviously catapulted him up from about 8 to 2. But yeah, I kind of think Pitts, I don't think in this situation is going to get any better. Although Tua, if he is the starting quarterback, does hyper target the tight end. So that there is potential that Kyle Pitts could be sneaky good. Fanning, I worry that the season he's just had is probably his peak, even though Njoku's left and effectively is one of the veteran receivers in that locker room now. And Tucker Kraft, I think with the injury, if he hadn't got injured, I think he would have been a top 2 or 3 tight end last year. And he was well on course for that. And then obviously that injury came and that took his season away. So I think I expect him to bounce back. And I think obviously with the departures that you mentioned, Jack, in Green Bay, I think that puts Tucker Kraft well and truly in as probably the target 1 or 2 in that offense.
Yeah,
just before we tap it, mate. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it just depends how the it all depends, doesn't it? I mean, it's so situational. Because like you said, Tucker Kraft may end up as you know the number 1 target. Yeah. But then again, if Christian Watson stays fully fit and we get a full season and he has a good run, then Kraft could, and Josh Jacobs is all good, then all of a sudden that offense changes, doesn't it? It's just the dynamics of how it of how it goes. I mean, like you're saying about having Stefanski out in Atlanta, you might think finally Kyle Pitts has got a coach who knows how to use a tight end. But then
that's true, yeah.
Do you see what I mean? But then you look at Atlanta and you look at those weapons. I mean, Kyle Pitts isn't going to be number 1, is he?
He's fair choice in reality on the Falcons, don't he?
He is, but then you look at what Atlanta did in the draft as well. So they're not thinking that. Just see what I mean? They're not thinking of having a tight end heavy game. So, but it's all situational, isn't it? And it's one of those things.
What I was going to say, just before we segue on, kind of similar to what you asked last time, then what would it take? What would you have to attach to, say, Harold Fanning or a Tucker Kraft to go and get yourself, say, Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland? What would you be looking at in that respect?
Ooh. I
Because I'm
think
very 50-50 on Tyler Warren, you see. I think don't get me wrong, I think Tyler Warren is brilliant. But I do think, I know the kind of the whole Colts offense scene like fell off a cliff after Daniel Jones went down.
yeah.
But the difference between him with Jones without Jones was night and day. Like it was
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like it wasn't like it was a slight decrease. Like he fell off more or less completely.
Yeah, so I probably would target Loveland over the two if I could choose who I'm going
Mhm.
for. If I had either Tucker Craft or Harold Fanning to go and get Loveland, I probably, if I'm talking picks, I'd probably try and do a couple of seconds, maybe 2027 second, 28 second.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to give a first up because I think there's too much value there.
That's because I don't think the jump in, how good Colston Loveland is compared to Tucker Craft warrants a first round on top of it. I think if you got a first in Tucker Craft for Colston Loveland,
You'd
you'd
be
run off
biting
it,
their
wouldn't
hand
you?
off. You'd literally
Yeah,
be snapping the
Yeah,
hand off of that if
absolutely.
yeah.
But
You'd take it, but you wouldn't be surprised if someone offered it.
yeah,
Same.
and I think if you're talking to players, someone that you put in your list, Jack, maybe like shoving a DJ Moore plus Tucker Craft or Harold Fanning might be enough just to get that person. Obviously, depending on their needs, if they're light at wide receiver, but I don't think I would. I don't know how much. It's yet to be proven what the jump is up to someone like a Loveland from a certainly Tucker Craft who's proven it. I'm mad. I'm big in on Loveland this year, so I probably would be tempted to do that if I could move that sort of thing around. But yeah, it wouldn't be. I certainly wouldn't be doing it anywhere near a player plus a first.
It's just that the tight end position isn't that warranted, unless you're in a tight end premium with crazy scoring, then it's the only time that might be relevant. But you get your tight end is your consistent 10, 12, 13 points is more what you're looking for there. You occasionally, as you say, you'll have a Joker game against the Saints where he goes off like mad, or against whenever he was playing against Jack. But you don't get that week in, week out with a tight end. So yeah, you want the consistency, but giving a first up for the top guys just seems a little heavy and a little too much. But a couple of seconds, as you say, a 27 second and a 28, everyone loves those what ifs. You love the potential picks, don't you? Because you can never tell. And 27's draft is going to be so much better than this year's draft. So those draft picks will actually be worth a bit more for people who are already looking ahead and knowing what that draft's going to be looking like.
The good news about
note to anyone listening here: if you've got 27 picks, hold on to them. Do not trade them.
Yeah, like on the back of this year, how sort of light the draft is for offensive players. I think next year's pick, I feel like the second round's like a bunch of first rounders.
Yeah,
so,
you'll get players in the second round last year who.
I know I've said to Liam before, but I'm not that I regret it. But basically, in a recent startup, Amarian Hampton fell quite low, and I'm quite big on Amarian Hampton. And basically, the rest of the team I've built, not that I'm going to guarantee to win it, but I should be a pretty good contender. I traded my next year's first to go up and get Amarian Hampton, and it is risky, but I'm not. The way I look at it is, unless I'm. Well, we don't I know Ahmad Hardy just got shot as well, didn't he? So we don't know kind of where he's going to be at value wise. Unless I'm going to be a top three pick, is there a player in next year's draft who's I'm going to think is better than Amari and Hampton for the next couple of years? Probably not. I think the 27 draft is great, but I think it, like you said, kind of depending on what type of team
it's
you are.
spread out a bit more. It's not
more
like
rather
it's
than
not,
like top heavy.
it's not as you might not have. Yes, I don't think you're going to have a Jordan Love next year. Or a Genti. I don't see it in any of the running backs at the minute.
It's just it's just strategy, isn't it? Really, you get some people who are planning on winning the championship in 2030, and they're getting all the picks in, they're getting all the young players. But then you get some people who, if you are one, maybe two players short, do you use that 2027 first pick to go and get someone?
Someone who's going to win it this year for
you. And it's. It's that kind of strategy of how you do it. But if you're getting 2 seconds along with, that, then it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't feel as you're giving up as much.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you're being taken advantage of or you're losing out on that trade. It's more of
this time next
it's like
year,
it's one of those you go,
I'll be like,
I think Hampton will come good for you though, especially in the Chargers. It will come good, but it'll kick you when depending on you see where that pick goes next year. You'll be like,
that's the thing. It's kind of a case of this time next year I'll be fuming if it's gone wrong. But I think especially in the McDaniel offense, he should be because he was good before he got injured as well. So
yeah. We've touched on some news today. Shall we go into it?
We've skirted gently around it.
We probably should have done this bit.
Is it anything to do with Josh Jacobs?
What's happening with Josh Jacobs like?
It could well be. Should we do a little bit of a mini news segment? I mean, usually in this off season, when you're outside the NFL draft, there's not a lot to talk about, but there's been a bit of news this week.
Yeah.
And I'll take the first one, which is the easy one. That Kenyon Sadiq's had a hernia operation. Can you believe it's the breaking news of the week?
Breaking news of the week. Rookie tight end is sitting out of the OTAs. Yeah.
Yeah, so he has had a bit of surgery, but it'll be nothing. It'll be nothing to stop him in training camp. But yeah, Josh Jacobs has been in trouble with the law.
Now,
allegedly,
Josh Jacobs turned himself in to law enforcement because there was.
So yes, he's not.
Sorry, I'm putting my AAW lawyer's hat on there. Just
he's a little bit of hot water, but yes, he's been released, and obviously we don't know what's going to go on from there. But what impact do you think this will be on his NFL season, if any?
So what I've kind of seen is, and Gary, you might be able to Liam Jack, but basically, with the NFL, when it comes to like a domestic like battery thing, I think like the standard procedure is that the NFL will suspend you for 6 games, obviously if he is found guilty, and with Josh Jacobs as well, especially when we're getting older, and I don't think we've got any Packers fans on the network, have we? But his touch volume over the last couple of years in Green Bay has been ridiculous. So I think the last thing you need with someone who's getting older like that is missing time, or even worse, going to prison.
Yeah. I think somebody shared it. I don't know which group it was. It might have been our group, might have been a different one. But literally, Josh Jacobs is on that flip-flop pattern where he has a good year, a bad year, a good year, a bad year. He had a reasonably bad year last year. He was due on that flip-flop scenario to have a good year.
This would be
However, the NFL are notoriously bad at doing anything about these sorts of situations. They're always like, we'll let it play its course, we'll let process take, even though it looks absolutely terrible from a PR perspective and players and everyone, outside of the NFL, everyone's looking at it going, Packers should be cutting ties with him and binning him off, even from the fact that even if it's alleged, even if it's, proven in any shape, way, form that he's done even a half of what he's been charged with, the Packers should be, binning him off straight away. The NFL are notorious for just kind of keeping strum, letting everything sorted out. 6-game suspension, I think, it's the standard, no matter what. Some people have done heinous things and only got 6 games.
Was it James Pierce Jr. recently?
It was
Lamborghini and chasing his girlfriend.
And obviously you've had a few. I mean, you've had obviously Tyreek Hill had a few things, and then the major one that sticks out is Ray Rice, because that was pretty much
Quinshon Judkins last year as well, weren't it? You remember
remember us talking about
even signed his rookie deal, Quinshon Judkins was in legal trouble, weren't
and then you've got Rashee Rice at the minute with his. He's had a few scrapes.
He's in prison now, isn't he? Because he.
Well, I mean, I don't know
rehabbing in prison. Yeah. Or is that part of the news that we're going to talk about?
But
we use every week.
With the Josh.
What's on the news this week? Rashee Rice again.
Yeah. But with the Josh Jacobs thing, I mean, I think it's like you said, the NFL try and keep out of it until it's gone through. The legal proceedings, I guess, and you saw it again with the Deshaun Watson stuff. They try and keep out of it until it's all settled and sorted, and but he hasn't done himself any favors, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be sorted. Something that can be sorted quickly. I mean, again, I don't know. You hear different things and people say different things, but Josh Jacobs is one of those people. I mean, recently before it happened, people were buying him cheap. Well, nice, I'd say cheap, but people were getting him for a 2027 second, which that was a price that was paid in a couple of leagues I was in.
You'd take the gamble on that, wouldn't you? Because even
they were taking the gamble on him.
yeah,
Mhm.
even then, I've in 3 different leagues. I've had someone on Marshall Lord. Did you know the Packers back at running back to the trade?
Glass Lloyd.
Try and cash in on him whilst you can.
It's like some of the trades I've been offered. What did I get? Josh Jacobs for Bashal Tutin in a second, and I said to the guy, unfortunately, I would have done that straight up before this news. I would have done Tutin for Jacobs. I'd only just traded for Tutin as well.
Yeah.
I think the NFL have to stay out of it, to be perfectly honest. Like at the end of the day, they're a business, and you don't go on. You go on proven information. Yeah. I think in the past, there's a lot of players done some horrendous stuff, and kind of you say got away with it. Like they've obviously been bad in the news and all that sort of stuff. But I think the NFL sort of stick it until there's like 100% proof.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of it, and Josh Jacobs, like I understand the flip flop seasons. I've got him in a few leagues, and hopefully he does have a good season. I don't know if he's on the decline in his performances. He sort of last year didn't look the same guy as he was the year before, and he suffered from a lot of niggly injuries. And as you're getting a little bit older,
it was his knee, wasn't it? It would always take a knock to his knee, go and sit out for 5 plays, come in, then miss the rest of the game.
And that's not a good thing for a player of his sort of age and his workload that he's taken on in his career so far. So this won't do him any favors. I think his fantasy value is going to be really low right now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there is nothing much else to talk about. I wouldn't really, because the NFL will keep quiet. And if there is if there is a ban coming, unless all this legal proceedings and something does go on, gets done and dusted in the next few weeks, it's not going to be this season. It'll be next, if anything.
That's what
it's highly unlikely, isn't it? It's the way the legal system works in the US and all this. It's going to be next season before this is sorted in enough way for the NFL to make any sort of adjustment or decision.
The Ray Rice one, wasn't that all filmed in an elevator? So there was proof. So
it wasn't a he said. It wasn't a he said, she said sort of thing. Whereas Judkins won last year, and there's been a number of them where it's like
that's what Tyreek.
It was just more the fact that there's just different levels of things that have happened based off.
Yeah,
I mean, you never know what evidence there actually is until it all gets released to you. It's
the Ray Rice thing. What was good was I think it was the Ravens dropped him straight away.
Yeah.
So they sort of made the move, and then the NFL. I don't even know if the NFL banned him for any. Well, they probably banned him for a bit, but they didn't stop him playing, and nobody took.
Nobody was going to touch him anyway. But
no. But
in other news, in other news, kind of concerning as well. Have you not all seen the Bucky Irving news?
Yeah, I was going to ask a question today about it, and I hope that someone would put him up on the list. But I
was tempted to, but I really don't know where I'm at with him. Because think about it, with last year, what did he miss? 8 weeks. They didn't put him on IR. What's actually going on with him? Because clearly, whatever's happened was bad enough for him to should have probably been on IR, and it's carried on until the off season. And I don't know if it's going to be ready to more closer to the start of the season. We might actually see him be ready. It's a weird one, ain't it?
It's got a bit of do you know Joe Mixon? Like last season when he went from.
Does anyone know what Joe Mixon actually did last summer?
It's got a lot. It reminds me of the McCaffrey Achilles as well. It's got that sort of. Oh, he's just got some sore. It's just a bit tender. It's a bit tender. Hang on, where is he gone? Why is he not starting?
What was the latest?
How many players? How many teams? How many times? I mean, I had him in so many leagues. I had him. Because I'm so. Just for everyone's opinion, I'm really bad at fantasy. I had so many first-round draft picks. I had so many 101 picks. I was like, McCaffrey for me. I was all in on that year and absolutely tanked. I was like, pick him first again.
Yeah, the difficulty with the Bucky thing is even his head coach is saying we're not sure when he'll be back, and not even he'll be back for training camp or he'll be back for pre-season. It's just we don't know. And so that does give me the worry of Mixon and McCaffrey. I think if I'm in any redraft league this year, I would be staying well away from him and
pick up kind of game mode just in case.
Yeah, and Sean Tucker.
Yeah.
He's all of a sudden going to be fantasy relevant if this is more than just a bit of off-season news to fill the tabloid pages.
Because there's not been enough news about stuff, gossips, to fill the tabloid pages this off-season already.
And then the only other bit of news I probably would say is that we still have we're no closer to knowing if Jacoby Brissett will be actually a starting quarterback for Arizona Cardinals.
To me, this is one of the maddest stories.
It is. It's hilarious.
This is one of those kind of. Do you remember when Le'Veon Bell said he's going to hold out because he wants, and then that was it. You never
That was
saw him
it.
again.
It just went
And
really well for him. Yeah.
But this to me, I mean, I was reading different bits on it, and the money was just. I mean, he was talking top 5 money at one point in some of the articles,
Yeah.
which just absolutely blew my head off. Because I mean, how old is Brissett? Is he 31 or 32?
Pretty something like that, yeah.
33, something like that. I mean, get yourself 20 mil and right up into the sunset.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's not around about what he's after. I don't know what he's actually on. I thought I'd seen somewhere it's about 8 or 9 million.
Yeah.
No, 4.8 million.
4.8. Okay. So I mean,
he's literally on vet minimum near enough. He's
so
but even if you took 20 million, you had that in incentives, and you had an incentivized contract, and you know, but it's just mad. I mean, but this is the NFL all over. You've got one thing saying he's after 15, then you've got another saying he's after top 10, and then you've got another thing saying he's after top 5. And you just can't get a clear answer.
He's not worth any of them, by the way.
Oh no, he's not. I'm not saying he is.
No, I know.
I mean, it's the reports. It's just the gossip mill.
Yeah.
I mean, people who picked up Carson Beck late on in a rookie draft and just thought I'll take a punt on him and stick him on the taxi squad.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of smiling right now.
Could end up taking the job off of Minshew.
Yeah. I mean, Jacoby Brissett should be paid more than 4.8 million.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he should.
And he's actually been he's a starter. And the stupid thing is, if the Cardinals had spoke to him before probably the NFL draft and said, look, we want to give you 16 million this year, 15 million this year, whatever, he would have gone, yeah, sound. I think the thing that changed his mind was apparently the story I heard is he walked into one of the main lobbies or whatever, and he's got the star players and he's got him front and center. So if you're going to put him front and center and be the
he's your guy, not Trey McBride or Marvin Harrison or anything,
or your new running back who you've just kind of
or literally Jeremiah Love.
So if you're going to put him as your sort of figurehead of your offense, pay him something.
Yeah. And on that, I think that 4.88, it's not guaranteed. I think he's only on a minimum
with
vet minimum guarantee type thing. Yeah. So it's like
give him a 50.
It's all wording and contracts.
Give him 12 million something at least.
Give him 12 to 15 million a year for 2 years. Let him be the start this year. Let him bring on whoever they come in next year, and he'll be happy, and he can go and be a backup for another few years. But like the Cards have run talk about badly run organizations. That I mean, they can't help themselves.
No.
They cannot get out of their own way.
I mean, this situation has, the that kind of merry-go-round. Brissett's going to come in. If he has 2 or 3 bad weeks, people are going to be calling for Minshew. We'll have Minshew mania for a couple of weeks,
and then everyone will go, "Oh, this is why we don't want Minshew mania." Yeah,
yeah, and then it'll, like you said, it will go, well, we've got a young prospect on the bench. Let's bring him in, and then all 3 careers will be over by week 14.
Yeah. One of the guys, a guy I know who's a Cardinals fan, he said he would fully believe that the Cardinals drafted Carson Beck in the 3rd round as more of a negotiation tool against giving any money than actually wanting Carson Beck to be anything near a starting quarterback, which I actually, the fact that that's even a suggestion, it makes me laugh.
It does make me laugh, but it is also a suggestion with the Cardinals that you kind of go, I can see it. I can see it. I can see them wasting a 3rd just because they wanted to do that.
Yeah. So Sam usually gives a weekly quiz question, and usually I get it right and Kiarn gets it wrong. But I'm going to change it up this week.
Because I actually leave my house, that's why. I've actually been outside this year twice, actually.
You. So I'm going to give a quiz question, and I heard it this week, and I have verified it. So there was a little bit of there's no hearsay. This is a true quiz question. So, in the last 4 seasons, there's only been 2 running backs who've scored 1,000 rushing yards each season, can you name them both? So don't forget about receiving yards. 2 running backs who've got over 1,000 rushing yards each season of the last 4. There's only 2 of them.
Derek Henry's one of them, yeah.
That is one of them. Yeah, that's the easy one. The other
That
one,
is the easy one. I thought
That's
I
the
better
easy
get that
one.
in before.
the other one will blow your minds.
For the last 4 years.
Every year for the last 4 years. Yeah.
Is it Rico Dowdle? No, Rico Dowdle's 2, isn't it? I know he's gone quite.
Yeah. Dowdle's 2, yeah. So yeah, this guy, I mean, he's got on at least 2 of the years, he's only just scraped over the 1,000 yards. I think it's 1,005 and 1,007.
Is he old?
Oh, well,
Okay.
Kiarn, I'm 37, so everybody's young to me.
Yeah, true.
Kiarn, please. I mean, I'm sitting here at 52. Everybody's young, right?
Yeah, true. I did forget about.
Is it Connor?
No, it's not James Conner. Good guess though. James Conner didn't do it last year, did he?
He just missed out last year.
The person I think, I'm pretty sure he didn't get 1,000 last year.
Is it Tony Pollard?
Jack, you have nailed it.
Oh my God, no,
Nice.
I was going to say Tony Pollard, but I thought it was just short last year for some reason.
Last year, so he's had 1,079, he's had 1,005, he's had 1,007, and last year he got, bear with me, he was just over 1,000 again. I think it was 1,082. So he's never got 100 yards, but he's got over 1,000 in the last 4 years.
I think the only reason I know that is because there was a period of time where it looked like Ty J. Spears was going to take over. And it just didn't happen. And if you think about the amount of changes in the last few years of running backs around the league, I think he's the only one who's actually pretty much, because he's been with the Titans, hasn't he? So he
did it. So the first time he did it, I think, was with the Cowboys.
Yeah, and then he got the big contract. They wouldn't give him the contract. He broke his leg.
Yeah.
And just wondering, Liam and Gary, mate, I don't consider Tony Pollard old yet. Next year he'll be old when he turns 30. He will officially be old.
Thanks, mate.
Still not old for the time being.
Jeez.
Will he do it again this year? Yes or no? Quick questions.
No.
Yes.
I'll say I'll bet on it, so it's definitely not. If I put money on it, it's not happening.
Yeah, I think he will.
Where is he now anyway? Where is he? Is he still
the Titans? He's got no competition for that. Well, Nicholas Singleton maybe, but I think he'll do it again. I think he'll do 5 in a row.
Singleton may well come on quite a lot. I mean, he was the second best running back, but the downside was
he got
second. He was in the same team as Jeremiah Love. He was the backup to him, and he basically barely got on the bloody pitch because he was so,
Yeah. So we're going to go for round 2 of this Keep Trade Cut, but I think we'll keep this one speedier than the last one because they're not as exciting to talk about, but they are worth talking about. So we'll do a bit more quick fire, a little bit of a discussion, but more quick fire for this second round. So I'll kick us off. I'm going to take the quarterbacks this time. I've gone for the sort of a tier down from the ones we talked about earlier. So I've gone Tyler Shook, Malik Willis, and Danny Dimes himself, Daniel Jones.
Oh, wow.
Keep, trade, cut. There we go, guys.
I'm going to jump in and I'm going to keep Tyler Shook because I am a Saints fan.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. But not only that, he came on a lot towards the end of last season. I think that offense with Kellen Moore, with all the things they've done in the draft, the free agency signings, I think that offense will be explosive. I think Malik Willis I would trade because there is a lot of hype around him. Even though he doesn't have the weapons in Miami, I'd still try and get something for him. And I'd cut Daniel Jones because he's Daniel Jones, and after week 6 he'll start throwing into space.
I hate to sound boring, but I agree with Jack. Spot on. That's the exact same order I had in.
Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. I mean, Shook definitely started to show some of the qualities that I saw coming out of college. Malik Willis, get what you can for him. I don't think you'll get more for him than you will Daniel Jones. I think everyone loves the story of Indiana Jones and all that sort of stuff, but everyone Daniel Jones is another Kyle Pitts. He's just he's another one of those that you're going to get. He is. He's gonna sting you. He's gonna have that one game where you've suddenly gone, oh, he's doing nothing. I'm benching him. Oh, there it is. He's just And as you say, by week 7 or 8, it's all going to be falling apart, and then he's going to be throwing interceptions left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I mean, you've all nailed it, the same as me. I will say none of them are dead certs. I mean, Shook's got a great offense around him, and I think the biggest thing for me was Kellen Moore. I think the offensive mastermind. Willis rushing upside, and there is a bit of hype. I mean, obviously I'm biased. I would like Malik Willis in my teams, but yeah, this year I think not so much. And Daniel Jones, even before the injury, we started to see the real Daniel Jones show up. So there'll be people who'll be in on him this year because he got injured and that's why he was no good. But it's not. He was already failing. He was going back to his old self. And he's burnt me far too many times, so I just cut the hell out of him. I remember the game, I think he was against the Eagles when he was a Giant, and he did that big long run. It was an 80-yard run, and he fell
on his face. Yeah.
I was watching, and because I've obviously started him that week, I was like, go, go, go. I was like, this is 14 points. Then he falls on his ass, and then I lost by about 2 points. So, yeah, Daniel Jones will never be a keep for me.
It's fair.
So, move on to running back, and that'll be you, Gary.
Oh, so interesting enough. So who did I put in as my second tier or lower tier? So started with Josh Jacobs because obviously I wanted to start talking about him and throw that all in, but I think we've covered that to death by now. Jibba Hubbard I've thrown in there, and then obviously the last one I put in was Bill Krosky-Merritt, Washington. Discuss.
I'll jump in first, and my keep Chuba. I think he's going to bounce back this year. I think he's going to be a solid RB2 with week 1 upside, RB1 upside. And I think he will be the main man there. I don't think there's this Jonathan Brooks talk. I don't think there's any value in that.
Isn't he on IR again for the whole year again?
I don't think he has any need left.
It's been at OTAs. I've seen videos of him running about OTAs.
Yeah, limping about. I think I probably could run a bit better than him. Definitely. Yeah. I would trade Bill Krosky because I think you could still get a little bit of value on him because you could just sell it that he's the starter for the Washington Commanders without any real. I mean, who's his real threat? You've got a 6th-round running back and a catching back in Rashad White.
Yeah,
with his competition, and I'd try and get some value for him. Try and get maybe trade for another running back or something, and then I'd cut Josh Jacobs. Just too much aggro. I mean, he'll probably have a better season than Krosky-Merritt, but you're not going to get a load of value for him, especially not now. And I mean,
and you're just waiting for the hammer to fall from that.
Quite literally, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's obviously we're talking about dynasty as well here, so you're talking longer term than just this season. So yeah, drop Josh Jacobs. Let somebody else deal with that headache that'll be coming.
Yeah. I mean, kind of similar to yourself. But it's weird. Like with Josh Jacobs, it just entirely depends on what actually happens for him. Well, off that basis, let's just say we know he's going to be in some sort of trouble. You keep Chuba, you trade Bill. But like I said, with Bill's not that good either. But like you said, he's got that tag of being team starting running back. So that gives him some value, I suppose, don't it? And then, like I said, he cut Josh Jacobs for what it's worth or what he's worth.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with any of that. I'd just leave it as you were saying there.
The only thing I might do, I might try a similar sort of thing. Do you get a slightly better value trade for Chuba because he's, due a big game, he's got no competition?
I quite like having Hubbard in the team, even if he's just in a flex spot, because I think he's just one of those players. He just gets he's going to get you 15 points.
Yeah, and it's just
and
which one of those you get a better trade for is But yeah, Josh Jacobs is just too much of a headache. You're just waiting for everything to go horribly wrong. And also the age is against him in the dynasty format as well. So.
Yeah,
I managed to switch as a straight swap Bill Krosky for Bashal Tutin recently this week.
Jesus Christ, who did you do that with?
Just a guy in the league I've been in for a long time. I also sent him 15 quid as a bank transfer.
I was
But
going to say, yeah, tell him to close his eyes and just see what.
He's checking PayPal afterwards. Yeah.
I offered him Tony Pollard and a second, I think, and he said no. And I said, who would do it? And he said, then I said JCM or Jordan Mason and something, and he went JCM. So,
and you put PS, send me your bank details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to win. You got to buy your league sometimes.
Did that not get vetoed by the rest of the league? Surely.
No, I might be commissioning that league. No, it didn't get vetoed anyway. It was a genuine. He offered it to him, and he went straight away. So very good. So Kiarn, your wide receivers.
Yeah, what I've done is with them, I've gone with 3 really interesting ones. I've gone with 3 quote unquote wide receiver twos. I've gone with Josh Downs, Quentin Johnson, and Mickey Purcell. I feel strongly about one of these compared to the other 2, but I'll let you 3 bicker amongst yourselves and see what you think.
Go on, Jack, lead us off.
I mean, Quentin Johnson had the high draft value, didn't he, when he came out? But he couldn't catch a cold. But then he started to be able to catch for a couple of weeks and started to look good. But Lad McConkey came into the offense and overtook. But then he kind of went on a downward thing as well. I mean, Josh Downs. I mean, Alec Pierce has just got the big contract. You've also got Tyler Warren in that team. Obviously Pittman Jr.'s gone. Pearsall. Pearsall's he again high draft value, but he's obviously been injured. I mean, it's not his fault that he got shot when he got robbed.
You well, it was his fault for wandering around with a Rolex.
Well,
in San Francisco.
I mean, I was just about to say that if you're walking around San Francisco with a Rolex on, then it's a tough one. This one, I mean, I'm going to keep Pearsall because I think he might actually show something this year. Mike Evans is obviously going to go down at some point with a hamstring or something. But Evans, he's still going to be a good value for where he is in his career, fantasy wise. But Pearsall, I think, will see a lot more with having Christian Kirk there as well. If George Kittle comes back, Josh Downs, I think I'd probably try and trade. Yeah, I'm going to go trade Josh Downs, because I think people will think that the Alec Pierce contract is too big and he's a deep threat more than anything. Even though Tyler Warren's in there, and I'd probably cut Johnson because I don't think Johnson's going to be able to catch.
Full stop.
But the Chargers, you don't add. I mean, I can never say his name. The tight end, Gadsden. Gadsden had a great, couple of games, but then you don't add Njoku in there as well if you're happy with your pass catchers.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. I mean, they picked Trey Harris as well, didn't they? And then haven't seen much of him. And then if you've got Lad McConkey in there, it's just too many miles. So I'm cutting Johnson. I think Josh Downs will still hold a bit of value, and I'd keep Pearsall because of the team that he's on and the offense genius that is his head coach.
That's a perfect segue into you, Gary. There.
Well, I mean, it's difficult to argue with it. I mean, obviously, from a homerism type thing, I would be keeping Ricky in the hope that he starts to pay back some of the high draft value. Yeah, as you say, the injury, the shooting, and everything else. But he has shown flashes, he has shown glimpses, and he's the kind of player that Kyle will scheme specific things for. He's got that aspect of, he can run the sweeps. He can do what Debo did that 1 year when Debo kind of went off. Not quite the same, obviously, but he's got that sort of mentality and that kind of skill set to kind of do that. And I think with Kittle potentially missing a few weeks at the beginning, there's going to be some targets there for a wide receiver too. Obviously, Ayuk's situation still floating around. So there's a role there to be filled, and he is the de facto guy there. I think with Evans there, it will kind of take some of the eyes off of Pearsall as well, because obviously the CB1 is going to go against Evans, and that might free Ricky up for a little bit more as well. So I think I got a feeling that Kai will start scheming a bit more around him now that he is properly, hopefully, touch every bit of wood you can find, actually properly fit and healthy, and we actually get to see him for a full season. So yeah, he's definitely my keep. Johnson is definitely not even a thought process. I'm cutting him straight away, because it's just too painful to watch how many balls that man drops when he should catch them. It's just awful.
He's another one of those players that you just hope finds it
somewhere. Yeah,
go
and play in Canada and learn.
If he threw him hope, he'd drop hope.
Yeah. If you threw him a lifeline, he'd hang himself with it, type thing. It's just you just feel sorry for it. It's obviously the NFL, the ball's different. He doesn't have the white stripe to see, or something. There's something that's happened that he's just forgotten how to catch. So yeah, try and trade the downs aspect. Utilizing the fact that hopefully people forget that there's a world-class tight end sitting in that team, and you can get something for Josh Downs.
Well, again, I've gone different. I'm regretting it now after hearing you guys.
I'm glad you've gone different, because I'm not a fan of what these two have said, by the way. I don't know what I want to say publicly, but I am a Quinton Johnson believer, and I will continue to be.
Fine. There's thousands of Carl Pitt believers out there as well, Kiarn.
Yeah, fine. Carl Pitt, Daniel Jones, Quinton Johnson believer.
I am a believer.
What a team that would be.
It's just one of those things. I just can't trust him.
Yeah.
It's we all have our vices, Kiarn. Don't worry. I've gone keep Josh Downs, and that's because he's still very young, and I think he's shown glimpses. And with Pittman out of the equation, I think he can work in that middle of the field. I don't think Daniel Jones can keep throwing bombs to Alec Pierce, so I think he's going to be looking at somewhere in the middle of the field. It's going to be Tyler Warren or Josh Downs. Hopefully, I'm going to trade Quinton Johnson on the back of there's no Keenan Allen in there stealing some of his targets, and also Johnson's the only one in that offense who can do something slightly different to everybody else. A lot of them.
I'll be honest, not to interrupt, but I've gone the exact same as you. I've just because I'm not actually overly huge on Lad McConkey either. I think Lad McConkey is talented, but I think like I said, Quinton Johnson just does that something different. And you're spot on with Josh Downs. Like I said, him and Alec Pierce could a complete polar opposite receivers, especially in the short game with Daniel Jones coming off with the Achilles as well. Like he might not be taking as many deep shots, so that's why I'm quite big on Josh Downs.
I also like Ricky Pearsall, but like he's not quite put it together yet, and I know he's had injuries, and I'm rooting for him. I think I keep hoping every single year that he can put something together, but for one reason or another, it just doesn't. For me, it just doesn't feel like it's going to work for him. And I think it's probably too many injuries and all sorts of bits and pieces like that. But he shows a game where he does really well, then disappears and stuff like this. And I don't know if he's going to. Evans will be number one, Kittle will be number two when back, and then there's a few other guys that they've brought in recently that potentially could push Pearsall further down, especially if he can't be on the pitch. So, but yeah, I mean, all three of them, they're all big sort of question marks around what they actually do this year. I thought Downs last year was going to be brilliant, and he sort of had a pretty poor year. So maybe I'm just backing the same horse again.
Yeah, at least I know I can start a Quinton Johnson fan club, mate. But at least we've got 2 members so far.
And to see us to the end of the episode, Jack, do you want to go through the last tight ends to talk about?
Yeah, so I kind of read this as fantasy gems, like tight end gems. I think these players, I mean, I think these are actually going to produce quite well. I mean, obviously, if you want to do keep, trade, cut, that's fine. But I mean, the 3 players that I picked was Strange, Barner, and Likely. The reason for that is I think that Strange, though there's a lot of mouths to feed up in Jacksonville, he did have a very good kind of back end of last year, and he was consistent. Again, in those non-tight end premium leagues, he was just getting that kind of 10 to 15 points. Barner, the reason I picked Barner out of Seattle is because you've got that kind of you look at that offense. I mean, JSN's clearly number one.
Yeah.
But who is number two up in Seattle? And you say Cup, but Cup's now kind of
600 years old.
928, isn't he?
Yeah, 928. And then you kind of look at the kind of other wide receivers they got, and you kind of, Bobo, and you look around and think, well, who is actually the going to be the main target, say main second target? And I mean, to throw in the ball in the Super Bowl, they must trust him. Arroyo hasn't shown much, so that's why I put Barner in there, and then Likely. I mean, we all saw what Likely was doing in Baltimore with Andrews by his side, but now he's got his own kind of, again in New York, neighbors being down, and we don't know about the second surgery. You look at who you've got in New York. If you've got a fit neighbors, you've got neighbors Slayton, Darnell Mooney, and Likely, and you've got obviously they've taken someone who could potentially grow into a very good player in Malachi Fields, but is Likely the second option there in New York. So discuss away.
Well, no, I like the list. If I was to keep one, it would be Brenton Strange. I think Brenton Strange, like you said, is kind of he was really good towards the end of last year. I know he missed the start from injury. I don't know how my camera's doing so far, but I think it's going to start back. Sorry. If I was to trade one, it'd probably be Isaiah Likely. Like you said, I think kind of the upsides there. We know he can be he's like a big old receiver, and he's not like a traditional tight end. He had his flashes in Baltimore, and like you said, he's going to a place where he is going to be maybe the Giants' number two target. It does concern me because I actually quite like Theo Johnson, who's still on the Giants. And don't get me started, with AJ Barner. I had AJ Barner in quite a few leagues last year, and it's one of them ones where you sit him and you start him, he gets 2 points. I don't know, it's like a farm foods version of Dallas Goddard, and it's so touchdown or bust. It just doesn't do
Yeah.
much else.
That's why I picked the three.
Nothing wrong with farm foods, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I'm with you, Kiarn. I really like Theo Johnson, and this signing of Likely has really thrown off a lot of what I'd planned in a lot of dynasty leagues. So I was picking Johnson at where I could. I think I'm going to have to go Likely as a keep because I've just given him so much money, and he's obviously coming to the Giants where his previous head coach was. So obviously he went out and got the guy he wanted. So I just hope that he actually gives it. If he's going to do it, I hope he actually gives him a lot of the ball, not ruin two tight ends. I'd rather ruin Theo Johnson than ruin
both from B.
Yeah, and I feel like, but I don't. He had the opportunity to do it in Baltimore. He never really gave him the keys to the tight end room, did he? Sort of like kept bringing Mark Andrews back. I would trade Brenton Strange because I think he's got a reasonable amount of trade value for these sort of level of players for the season he had last year, and he's obviously on a really hopefully a really high-powered offense. And then AJ Barner I would cut because I'm just not sold on him, and I think Arroyo might just take a step up year two. They obviously drafted him for a reason, so we'll that would be my three.
Yeah, I think I'd be keeping Likely in this one. I think he's probably going to be, as you say, the number two target there. Jackson Dart, second season, safety net of the tight end who's been around and knows stuff. I think is going to be a clear one there. Get as much as you can for Strange. Barner, unfortunately, just by the sheer sort of elimination, is the one that's going to end up getting cut.
Yeah, it's similar. If you can get something for Strange, go and get it. Keep Likely because of the contracts, and Barner's just going to be the one you cut just naturally.
I'm surprised you didn't put Juwan Johnson in there, Jack, because he's one of my late round tight end gems. I think he's phenomenal.
I did think about it, but then he annoys me.
It's personal vendetta.
Well, it's not personal. Yeah. He just annoys me because he's the kind of player that to look at him. I mean,
he should be tearing it up, shouldn't he?
He should be, he should be putting up, kind of he should be dominating like Antonio Gates did, kind of, the size of him, the frame, the stature.
There's
You know,
another
if
there's
you
another tight end in your division. Not sure if you've heard of him called Kyle Pitts. He's quite the same actually.
yeah, yeah. I
But
mean, John Johnson to me is just he's a poor man's Kyle Pitts. He's just not consistent enough to be considered a gem. He just had that game and then he just disappears for you know.
So what you're saying is I'm daft in all these drafts that I'm in at the moment, picking him
No,
late.
no, no, no. I think that he just hasn't shown anything. He's the kind of player that if he's used correctly, and I think Kellen Moore will finally find his strengths.
I think having the quarterback as well to help, but obviously this is now the time where the Saints have a really good receiving room again. So I don't know, like he's obviously got a better quarterback in Tyler Shough than he's probably had in the last 2 years, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And what do you call him? Derek Carr would just throw hospital balls to everyone, so nobody wants to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
it's a surprise Chris Olave is still with us, isn't it, really?
Well, I was going to include Chris Olave in my first original wide receivers, but I mean now they've taken Tyson. I mean I'd be trading Olave for as much as I can.
I love Chris Olave. I love him on my Bills anyway. I'd love anyone on my Bills to be fair, but
DJ
But
Moore.
yeah, Juwan Johnson will be an interesting year. We'll see.
I'm definitely going to take him in the league I'm in.
I mean, if he's there in where are people getting him? Probably what rounds 10
Well, I
or
can tell
later
you,
easily.
I'm in round. So this is IDP. There's 6 IDP players, and it's tight end premium. I mean, in round 22, and I haven't got a tight end yet. So Juwan Johnson is my guy.
Well, there you go. I mean, I was going to
Pitts,
stick. Is it Jolly that Denver have just taken,
Oh yeah.
and see if he's just going to be one of those kind of Sean Payton late round masterclass.
yeah, where he's
But
suddenly
then
pulled
or Raradon, I was going to throw Raradon in there.
Yeah.
Because again, 6'6", big guy. Obviously, the Patriots had the success with a dual tight end threat for a while, and then Rob Gronkowski obviously became a single tight end threat. But
what happened to the other one? Wonder what happened to the other Patriots tight end.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
It's finished.
I think there's a documentary on Netflix about him. But I'll stay away for
legal reasons. We won't
yeah,
discuss any further.
exactly. Hopefully I'll be invited back after my first show, and I won't say
Hopefully, we'll still have a network.
yeah. So I'll avoid that one, and I'll just say that Rob Gronkowski was a massive threat, and grew into the tight end we knew he could become.
Very, very diplomatic.
Very man of
Good
well done.
very PR trade, mate.
But yeah,
I say that the
but
other
yeah,
time is a bigger threat, but I won't.
but I was going to think of throwing a rookie in there, but again, tight ends they're so hit and miss.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I mean, a rookie tight end is very rarely going to hit the ground running, and are they? They've got to learn the blocking and all that sort of stuff. A lot of the tight ends that come out of college aren't. Even those, the ones last year and Warren and Loveland, they were head and shoulders. They've still takes that first year to get used to it. You've got to you can't just chip block these guys in the NFL anymore because they're actually a lot chunkier.
I was going to throw Cole Kmet in there because
that's another one. Yeah,
because I was going to pick him because he's one of those players that if he was to be traded to somewhere or had been traded, then he's the kind of player that you look at and think, well, actually, if he gets himself into a good scheme, there's no reason he can't put up a few points and score, but it just hasn't happened.
Here's another one. Cole Kmet's another one. Like him and Dalton Schultz are literally the exact same person in fantasy for me. In terms of, like you said, you always think, oh, these could actually be good, and you're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mike Gesicki was another one.
Yeah.
But again, they just go missing some weeks, and it's yeah, mate. But yeah, that's why I stuck with those three.
Yeah, good ones. What's great about all three of these, they've been enough to kind of make every sort of decision. There's been a couple where it's like it's obvious, that one's the cut guy, but a lot of these have been like, oh, it's really made you think about what some of these guys are. And as you say, you said at the beginning, Liam, if you're in a league and you've got these sort of dilemmas going around, hopefully some of the stuff we've talked about has kind of cleared some of it up, or maybe it's just muddied the waters for you. I'm not sure. I think I managed to spend 90 minutes talking about that. Well done, guys, on the fly. It was impressive. As I say, hopefully some listeners have found a little bit of gem of knowledge there. Somebody has found something that has helped them in their draft sort of strategy, or even a player that you hadn't even thought about and think maybe I can pick up that late round flyer, as we just talked about John Johnson in a tight end premium league when you still haven't managed to pick a tight end yet. It's an interesting way of going. It's the no running back.
Use the guys
running back strategy, but in a tight end premium. Lads, this has been real fun. Actually, I've really enjoyed coming on talking fantasy with you guys. And as I say, I don't listen to anything I say because I'm inevitably the strongest player in any league I'm at because I'm holding everybody up. You guys will all be back next week. Don't think Sam's going to invite me back, but you never can tell. I'm always around on the AAW network. You can find me on the Wednesday show on the College Football Network. Liam, Jack, Kiarn, thanks very much for your time this evening. And everyone else, the Fantasy Den will be back next week.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
See you later.